Aloha and welcome to Maui Nonprofit Notes, where each week you'll find us talking story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and their staff to find out how they're working to support those with needs within our community. Maui Nonprofits. Don't skip words, Susie. Maui Nonprofit Notes is generously sponsored by Pacific Source. If you're building or remodeling a home, please stop by Pacific Source's cabinet and appliance showroom located in the Waikapu Base Yard. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. For those of you who may be listening for the first time to this weekly show, during this hour we share some of the experiences of our nonprofit agencies and just how they're changing lives, changing communities, and creating miracles of hope for those with need. We're going to start off our show today talking to Deb Rice, who's the Senior Philanthropic Services Officer for the Maui County Office of the Hawaii Community Foundation. Hi, Deb.
Hi, Susie.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
How are things philanthropically speaking?
Well,
try saying that
was
fast. Yeah.
very impressive. I often just say giving.
I
But
see. Okay.
yeah, we're doing great, and we're thrilled to be able to celebrate our 100th birthday this year. So that's kind of at the top of our table, that's for sure.
I don't think there's anybody there that probably was there when it started, huh?
No, there are a lot of funds that are there. But there are, in terms of folks, no.
Gotcha.
So 1916, it was a little bit on the Wayback Machine. Yeah.
Very good. But I think you're saying that there were a lot of funds that were there that are probably still going and certainly set the stage for what has happened over this 100 years.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. We have over 700 funds that are currently being administered by Hawaii Community Foundation. And to begin with, that's really how the foundation started, was where folks who passed away and left something to the community, they wanted someone to take care of those funds to make sure that they would be into perpetuity, which is what we do have, is a lot of endowment funds where the funds will be there permanently, but then there will be investment income, and part of the money goes out to whatever it is that that donor wanted that money to go for.
And that's the whole point of an endowment, is that the basic money that's given is not used, but the interest earned from that as an investment is what is given.
That's correct. And of course, that can run the gamut from a scholarship fund that you can create for your loved ones and name them for your loved ones, all the way to where you have an agency endowment for a nonprofit here on Maui can create an agency endowment, and then that helps with that unrestricted, that, keeping the lights on and paying the rent portion of what a lot of nonprofits are always wanting to find the money for.
And so where do I get the paperwork to have somebody set up an endowment for Lokahi Pacific? She was ready to answer that until I put the last two words on there.
Let's talk.
Oh, okay. I mean, you're so right with the unrestricted funds. That's always an issue with the agencies, because we can fairly easily get the funds to do specific projects, but finding that fund to keep the doors open every day is another problem. I've got Dean Wong sitting here from Imua Family Services, and he's just about to burst because he's got something he wants to say about that.
Well, no, it's just that it's very true, and all agencies strive every single day if they're trying to meet their missions and think about sustainability in the future, and not just those immediate one-time funds that are going to help you in your current situation, but what is the long-term projection for how you're going to sustain your organization. And so an organization like this is incredibly vital in how it thinks about the long-term sustainability of nonprofit organizations.
And that's one of the things that you changed over the last few years, was to set up a program whereby you could help agencies with that issue.
That's true. We have something called the Flex program, which is for high-performing organizations, where we actually give grants for high-performing organizations, and it can be up to $50,000 or 20% of your annual budget. And, on the reverse side of that is that's something that donors really, really appreciate, knowing that the money is going to go to a nonprofit. One of our goals with the Centennial was not just to celebrate and and say, isn't this great? We've made it 100 years, but to figure out how we can go ahead and give back and help with the next 100 years. And what we really started to realize is that although there are something like 6,000 folks who have quite high capacity to make a gift here in Hawaii, who've included a nonprofit in their estate plan, there's approximately 23,000 other households that have that capacity and have not included that in their estate plan. So we wanted to really make sure that the nonprofits have that help, and also that we get the word out statewide for folks to make a planned gift in their estate plan to a nonprofit of their choice.
Now, is that Maui or is that all of Hawaii?
That's all of Hawaii, and
Okay.
of course we're a little Maui centric, so we here on Maui like to encourage Maui, but it just depends entirely on what that donor wants to do, and that's the part that people, when they do put something like that in their estate plan, they can do 5 or 10%, still take care of the family, but do a 5 or 10% that will go to their charity, their favorite charity, or through the Hawaii Community Foundation, where they can then create a fund. And there is a great peace of mind component to this. So yes, there's a joy of giving and having done it, but it's also where you just kind of dust off your hands and go, wow, I feel a lot better. That's taken care of. I can live the rest of my life. I've had people come to me and say, I really want to make a gift. I want to do an estate plan because we're going to Europe. Well, what's going to happen between, it's sort of like they're put in the, painting themselves in the corner where they have to go to Europe. So they've got to figure out what their estate plan is. It's let's do it before you, worry about a plane crash.
Oh, gee. Now, does something like that go on people's bucket list?
It does, but it's not a fun bucket list, which is unfortunate, because there is a fun part of it. It is a little bit like, opening a present to decide where you're going to actually make a difference, because at the end of your life, that's when a lot of folks, actually almost all of us, have much more to give. We can give yearly and give something. Some of us give modestly. Some of us have a lot to give. But where you really have the bulk of your giving is after the end of your life. So that's when you can really make a transformational gift.
Wow. Now, if somebody has something, not money, say they have a house or a business or something that needs to be sold in order to produce the money that they want to come to you, do you get involved with that early on, or do they have to take care of that part and just give you the money?
That's a really good question, because we always say, come to us first and come to your professional advisor first. You want to make sure that you have the best tax management system in place. A lot of people, if they go ahead and sell that house and then they hand the money, they've lost a little bit of that tax advantage. So we work really closely with their attorneys, their CPAs, and some of the other advisors, and really want to make sure that they are getting the best advice and working with their advisors too.
Interesting. That's good advice.
It's a very good advice. It's a good way to go about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what's really important in hearing this is that no one wants to plan for the end of their life, right?
Right.
Like no one wants to even think about that. But now when you have the capacity to think about it, is the time to do the planning, because you don't know what that end of your life brings and what your capacity for planning will be. And then it's too late.
Yeah.
It's too late to make those plans.
Wouldn't it be sad for something to happen to you and have your family find some documents where you started making preparation to do this and put it in a drawer someplace? How sad is that?
Yeah, in fact, I know a gentleman who passed away. He was in a nursing home, and this was on the mainland, and his attorney was taking care of all his papers, and the attorney says, well, I've got to pay the nursing home $600, and and I'll go ahead and write you that check. And the nursing home says, oh, that's okay, the guy didn't have any money. He says, actually, he had $6 million, and it's all going to the state now because he didn't have any heirs named.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that's the sad part, especially for the community, where that $6 million could make such a
Done
difference.
so much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lessons to be learned.
And then there's the others where the other great side of it is where people really thoughtfully meet with their advisors. They can meet with the foundation and with us and really help to kind of walk through what they want to do. What are their values and interests? And take their time to do it. And there is a real joy in that thoughtfulness and that carefulness in terms of what you end up with. and there is a little bit of sleeping better at night at the end of the process too.
And I'll say, as an executive director of a nonprofit organization, when people are thinking about giving in that kind of volume, but they're not sure of how to choose a nonprofit, there's a safety net that is provided by giving and planning with an organization like Hawaii Community Foundation, because they entrust that money through a grant processing and application process and an accountability process to the nonprofits that they distribute funds to. I know, being a recipient from the foundation. And so they're making sure that everything is being handled according to due process and that there's accountability to that. So that takes that onus off
Right.
of the person who's giving.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Dean. Jack and Marie Lord from Hawaii 5-0 fame, they actually, when Marie passed away, then the bulk of the estate did come to the foundation, which a large portion of it went into a fund that now funds 13 nonprofits annually. So every year, those 13 nonprofits receive a grant that goes to, I believe it's just unrestricted, goes into helping to keep the lights on, which was something that Jack and Marie really wanted to do. It was, what their wish was. So
That's incredible.
And of course, our job is to continue to do this for another 100 years. In 100 years, there might not be children that are, foster. There might not be any little furry animals that need a home. But we'll make sure that that money goes to something very, very much like what that donor wants to have done. So
That's incredible, because like Marie Lord died, 20 years ago? 15?
actually, she died in 2005.
That recently, 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but he died quite a bit before that.
Yeah, I think he died about 10 years earlier.
Okay. So, that is neat to know that you can set something up. And they named the agencies that they wanted to be the recipients, right?
That's right. And there may be folks listening today that are on a board of a nonprofit, and, talk to us about an agency endowment fund, or talk to us about a designated fund, and work with your board and figure out how you can get something like that started, because that's tremendous. We have something similar to that for all of Hana called the Hana Community Endowment Fund, and that was really where the 10 organizations on Hana came together. They had a very ambitious goal of reaching $1 million, which would then realize about $4,000 annually for each of those organizations. And it looked like it was going to be a long haul to get $1 million from a small community, but a donor, an anonymous donor, stepped forward, and they're, I think, going to reach that goal this year. So we're pretty excited about that.
Wow.
And that's very similar to an agency endowment fund in that all those 10 orgs there in Hana community, which, Hana is small, and we need to keep Hana in our hearts and
That's right.
keep pulling that wallet out, frankly.
That's right. And the other thing that I think that's interesting in the work you do is that you just don't know who has what. Somebody walks in the door and starts talking about what they want to do. There's no judgment as to whether you can do it or not do it. It's how would you do it, or how can I do it, maybe is the question they're asking you. And you just go right through the process.
Absolutely. There was a donor who created a fund, and she actually called it Valley Isle Vision Fund, and now it's transformed into the Maui Nui Community Fund. So it's become a fund where others have actually started to give to it, and then there's a number of folks who have made a legacy gift, and that will go just for projects, programs, and nonprofits here in Maui County. So it's all of Maui County, not just Maui, the island.
So Maui Nui.
Yeah, so if someone comes forward and they don't have a large amount that they want to bequest, they can always include the Maui Nui Community Fund in their estate plan too.
That's cool. Now, you talked about legacy. Define for us. What's the difference between that and some of the other things?
Well, legacy is it's sort of like philanthropy. We have all sorts of expectations for that word. It's really, what is it that's going to happen after the end of your life? You've heard the term living legacy. Well, that's kind of an oxymoron, because really, it's really after we're all long gone, we want it to be a little bit better campground than we arrived at.
Gotcha.
We want it to be a better Hawaii than when we first set eyes on it. Hawaii changes people regardless of who you are or where you came from or if you were born and raised here. And we want to make sure that everyone gives back because of that wonderful gift that Hawaii gives to us.
Fabulous, fabulous work the Hawaii Community Foundation is doing. We've got to take a short break, and we're going to be right back.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story with our executive directors and staff to find out how they're helping Maui not only stay Maui, but be a better Maui in the future. And taking a big step in that, we're talking with Deb Rice, who's the Senior Philanthropic Service. See, now that I know how to say that, I just want to keep saying it. The Senior Philanthropic Services Officer for Maui County for Hawaii Community Foundation. And you had something you wanted to say.
Oh, this is Kaimana Brummel.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Kaimana's here with Imua Family Services.
Right.
Well, speaking with them today.
I am a proud volunteer.
There
for
you go.
Family Services.
There you go.
I got roped in. No, I happily give my time, but I was lucky enough to attend the 100-year gala for Hawaii Community Foundation on Saturday at the MAC. And it was a wonderful event. And after the HCF staff surprised us with a beautiful hula, they had Kealoha, a slam poetry artist, come up and give a great slam poetry performance. But the last bit of his performance, the last line was, the only thing that will be here once we're gone is the things that we stood for. So I think that that's a really great statement that brings together everything that we've been talking about legacy and philanthropy. He also talked about philanthropy too, which he broke down as the love of people. And so both of those messages, he did a great job performing for us, and it was a great way to bring together HCF's 100 years and launch us into the next. It's really nice.
Sounds like he gave you a great message to take home.
He did. I even posted it on Facebook. So
There you go.
Thanks.
it'll
Come
live
on.
on.
That
There
was
you
nice.
go.
That was very well said.
Cool.
And just in conjunction with that, if you've picked up the Maui News this morning, there's actually a little insert that has a lot of the stories that many of them, it's called A Century of Giving, and it's one of the ways that we're celebrating the centennial. It has a lot of stories in there about Maui folks, including Karen Frost, the Fred Baldwin Memorial Foundation, and you'll recognize some different folks there. There's a picture of the students from Paia School where they've got water bottles and have great water they're drinking. And so if you haven't picked up the Maui News, please do. And, in terms of what can you do, in terms of what people can do, I always say the first thing that you want to do is talk with your loved ones and then talk to your attorney and figure out what you want to do. What do you want to stand for? As Kaimana said.
That's interesting and very good advice. Very good advice. And I think that there's maybe a lot of people who feel that the gift has to be huge. I mean, they don't see a $25,000 donation or even a $10,000 donation as doing any good. But help me out here, because I know what $10,000 did when I got a call from the Hawaii Community Foundation saying somebody wanted to do something, and our agency was the only agency in town that does that.
Yeah, and of course, 10,000 is that's a nice grant. That's a good fund, absolutely. And I mean, even if everyone sitting around this room right now today put in $25,000, you can imagine that would actually. Susie's rolling her eyes, trying to do the math, maybe. I don't know. But that would actually make a big difference. So it's the parts that come together that make the sum, and that's where really what the foundation, what Hawaii Community Foundation has a great number of funds, but each one was one because someone came forward and gave. So again, it's not just one. It's not about a wealthy person, although we certainly welcome folks who have the capacity to make that gift, but it's also just the everyday folks. So
It all adds up.
it all adds up, and anyone that has a home here in Hawaii, that's like the accidental millionaire, really.
Right.
So-
Right. And as you're talking, I'm sitting here thinking about how creating a trust is so important for people, single, married, whatever you are. If you have anything, set up a trust so that there's a direct line of how things should happen. And I'm thinking about mine. I created mine, probably 30 years ago. It's been revised twice, I think. But it's probably time for another round. And I'm thinking about things that should be put in there now. Things like that gift to you guys. Maybe there's a formula I want to create so that when it's time to take a look at what's left, if I haven't spent it all by the time I go, what's left, how much should go to wherever, and that maybe is by percentages or whatever. But that needs to be stated in that trust.
It
because
does.
you can't leave it up to the trustee, especially if, like, you've got a main trustee and then you've got a backup and then you've got the bank, who's usually the third one in reserve in case nobody's around from the first two. You can't leave it up to them to remember or have in their notes, and certainly not. That creates fights.
Yeah, fisticuffs in the driveway, we call it. But but you hit on a good point, and that's, for example, the IRA. If you have an IRA or a retirement account, it's typically better, always talk to your advisor, but it's typically better that you give that to the charity. Because if you give that to your loved ones, to your family, there's tax consequences. So often you have to really look at what are you planning on giving in terms of tax management too. Again, go back to your attorney, go back to your CPA, go back to your professional advisor and work with them, and they can help you with that.
Good points. Good points.
Yeah. It's a lot to think about.
It is.
Yeah, my mind's going, wait a minute now.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, if you own a home, hey, especially if you've owned that home or have traded or sold and bought up and moved along the way, there's value there. I mean, I don't care who you are.
Yeah, and be sure and check your retirement accounts. Who have you got as a beneficiary? Because that doesn't necessarily get added into your estate planning. You need to kind of make sure you check that beneficiary every year.
Right. Okay, my to-do list, it just moved further up.
It's not
on
a
that.
bucket list item. It's a to-do
No,
list item.
it's a to-do list. No,
Yeah,
it's definitely not a
exactly.
bucket item.
I think you feel so good once you do it, though. I mean, I'm only 30, but we have ours all set up, and it gives me peace of mind while I travel or when we're just driving that the things are going to go the way that I want them to go right now. I think you had an interesting point because you have time on your side to have more perspective on your plans, that you can revise them too, that what you set as a plan, and you have a plan, but those can change because you change your interests, the people come in and out of your life. So those revisions can happen, and they should be,
Right.
taken into account every
Right.
few years.
Good point. Good point. That fund that I set up for Scooter, he's getting older. That's my puppy dog. He's getting older, and he's probably not. I mean, I'm probably going to outlive him, so that's going to have to get changed.
Yeah, it's otherwise some people have given like to their parrot, and then they have this person taking care of the parrot, and the person taking care of the parrot just keeps replacing the parrot. So you want to have things really well stated, okay?
How about more like the Humane Society?
Yeah,
Really
maybe,
a bunch of parrots, a bunch of dogs.
Much better.
And just for a quick second, now speaking of the Humane Society, you're handling the agility course over there.
Yeah, we
that was
have an
created.
agility course over there, so we have classes, and it's pretty exciting. We're working with the volunteers to bring the shelter dogs out and have them do some of that fun stuff, teaches them confidence, and it's really a fun time for everyone, dogs and handlers.
I know every time I drive by there, I think, where are they? Where are they? I want to watch them do it.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to come out when they're there.
Yeah, anyone can come watch Tuesday and Wednesday nights at 5, and then Saturday mornings are practice. So absolutely, you're welcome to come watch.
Cool.
Do you take small children? Dean and I have some rambunctious boys that probably need to run through the course a few times. I'm just kidding. They would like to come and watch, though. That sounds like that would be really neat.
I think that would be exciting.
Yeah.
We aren't ready for any competition on it yet.
No, still doing fun runs. We have to
Okay.
actually fly over to the other islands to do competitions.
competition,
But pretty
gotcha.
soon.
Oh,
Pretty
okay.
soon.
Cool. Once again, back to the Hawaii Community Foundation. Any last thoughts before we shift gears here?
Well, people are welcome to call me at 242-6184. They can always look on our website. If you're a board member on a nonprofit, check to make sure they're part of the legacy campaign so that they're working with us on the toolkit and making sure to get the word out so that their donors and the folks that like what they're doing are considering them too. So absolutely check out our website. If you're a nonprofit and you are thinking about doing a flex proposal, now's the time to start looking at that. And that's, I think, due pretty soon.
Oh, really?
So,
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, you do the scholarship thing in March or something,
we're
or February.
actually, scholarships are just now being determined right now. So we have that coming through too. I think we had about 4,000 students that applied this year. So
Oh my gosh, that grows every year too,
yeah,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's incredible. Okay, so thank you so much, Deb, for being with us this morning.
Well, thank
this
you,
afternoon.
Susie. Oh, it's
afternoon.
afternoon.
Yeah.
So thank you, Susie, and thanks everyone. Many thanks to the nonprofit people. You know, that's a work of art and a work of heart. So we really know how hard everyone who's in the nonprofit world is working, and we appreciate that.
And we appreciate what you do to help us make that just a little easier.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, and thanks for the 100 years of the Hawaii Community Foundation. What a milestone.
Well, none of us look that old.
No, not at all. Not at all. Okay, thank you. We're going to shift gears now, and we're going to talk to a couple of folks, well, 3 folks, 2 of whom you've heard from already. Dean Long, Executive Director of Imua Family Services, and Kaimana Brummel, who is with, who are you with nowadays?
I'm a volunteer for Imua Family Services.
In your real life?
My real life, I work in the tourism industry,
Okay.
luxury travel and concierge itineraries.
Whoa,
Yeah, fancy.
gotcha. And volunteer for Imua.
Yeah, I have a wonderful job and a very that the company really believes in community involvement. So I have been privileged to stay involved with the causes that I care for. Number one being Imua Family Services. I've been on the steering committee for Paddle Imua. This is our 5th year, our 5-year anniversary, and we're really excited because just like other things with Imua Family Services, we get bigger and better every year.
Absolutely.
And of course, you got involved with them when you were with the Hawaiian Canoe Club.
Yeah, I think Dean and I had kind of the first conversation about making this happen, and it's because of groups like Hawaiian Canoe Club and Bluesmiths, our title sponsor. They've been with us since the first year, really sticking with the cause and growing it. You know, the first few years we would have these long 3-hour steering committee meetings, but now we're so efficient in our subcommittees, we can come together for the bigger ones and produce a fabulous event that improves every year. And the bottom line for camp grows every year. Paddle Imua supports Camp Imua, and we are thrilled that through our efforts that more and more kids can attend camp every year.
Cool.
Absolutely. Kaimana has been hugely instrumental. I don't want to downplay her portion in that. And I remember the very first conversations we had with her. It was when I first arrived at Imua Family Services. And I called Kaimana at Hawaiian Canoe Club at the time. And we just started, brainstorming a few things. And it was Kaimana's idea to turn it into a stand-up paddle event. I was very focused on outrigger canoes, and that had been my experience on the water. And so we started talking about it, and now it has just grown so much and had so much involvement, and we've had this very dedicated committee of people who are involved in the ocean sports athletic community, in the racing community, and in the Maui community, and just have such a tremendous heart for this event. And I have to say, if you haven't been or seen Paddle Imua, until you kind of get there and experience the scope of it and what it's become, it kind of takes your breath away. every year we stand at the starting line at Maliko Gulch, and I'm always down there with Kaimana, and the racers just start arriving in droves, and their paddles, you know, and their boards are in the water, and the canoes start hitting the water. There's helicopters flying above you and drones everywhere you can see, and it's breathtaking. It's overwhelming, and it's just like, and really the spirit of everyone who's down there, you know, they get in a circle and they join hands and they say a prayer together, and there's some chanting, but everybody is there because they're there to support our children with special needs who are participating in Camp Imua, and they're so excited that their registration fee and their involvement in this event is there to support that cause. And then at the finish line, they're going to get to meet our campers and those kids and those families and really get to have an interaction with them that they otherwise would never have an experience having here on Maui. So it's really an amazing event.
So about how many people end up in the race?
Last year, we planned for a 10% increase every year, but last year we blew it out of the water and had a 30% increase. So we had 220 racers
Oh my gosh.
last year, and we're planning for 250 this year.
That's incredible.
Just because the ocean community is also growing, but I think, it's an adult recreational sport, although we do have some youths, but we do paddling because we enjoy it.
Right.
And so in a sense, it's a little bit selfish because we take time away from all of the other things to do this one activity out on the water, and sometimes we do it with other people. And there are a lot of events on Maui, a lot of paddling events. It's a great, robust, active community, but this event is different. This event people know and they come out for because it supports Camp Imua.
And the event doesn't end with it's not just the race and then it's finished. You
Right.
get the finish line and you're done. You get to participate in what we call the Ohana Festival, which is sort of the after party of the race. And, it's got an amazing assortment of refreshments, and there's a beer garden and food, and there's hula, and there's DJ music, and then there's activities for children. There's a fun relay race that people can get involved with right there, and there are teams that are created by all the different sponsors, and people can just on the spot get involved and participate in the relay race. So the event itself, the festival, is actually like almost bigger than the race because everyone's got somebody at the finish line there waiting for them. Our campers come down, their families come down, people that are involved in Camp Imua specifically are there, and it just feels like Ohana. It's everybody there with the same spirit of supporting those children and having a chance to meet them and participate with them. It's a miraculous event.
When I hear the two of you talking about this event, it's almost like I can see the video playing in your head of what this all looks like while you're talking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be awesome. You think of 230 paddlers out there, and you're looking at 1 o'clock start time, which is midday.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's something that starts at 5 a.m.
No. The nice thing is that, again, and I think with my background at Hawaiian Canoe Club, this comes up time and time again, the ocean can connect people.
Mm-hmm.
The ocean, if you learn how to paddle and you learn how to swim and you get a little brave to leave the shore, it can really connect you with other places and people. We just have to have a little bit of courage. And I think that when we think about our campers going to camp, it's something new, and they have to have a little bit of courage, and they have to go and they have to leave their caregivers or their parents behind. But then it's so much fun, just like the race. So in a sense, we're having these similar experiences, but the spirit and the ocean is what connects us to be able to do that.
There's an interesting connection that happens between people who can literally go out at Maliko Gulch and get on a stand-up board or an OC1 or an OC2 board and paddle, 10.5 miles to Hawaiian Canoe Club, and then meet with young children who may never have the ability or capacity, the physical ability to actually even get out on the water and have that experience. And I think for an athlete, or whether you're amateur or pro, to be able to connect with someone who just can't experience the thing that brings you so much joy, there's something that really changes people in that moment, to have that connection. And if they get the chance to actually take them out on the water a little bit and set them on their board and paddle around with them and give them that experience, it's very meaningful, And for someone like Connor Baxter and Kai Lenny and Andrea Moeller or Sonny Henschel, these people that paddle around the world and have this experience, and then to meet people in their own community that see them as role models and famous athletes, and such a valuable connection that happens there.
Is Andrea going to be there again this year?
Yes, she will be. She's
okay.
part of our committee. She's part of the force behind Paddle-i-Mua. Every year, that force of people that are involved, these amazing paddlers and sponsors as well, like Bluesmiths, who's been a part of us for 5 years now, that just keeps growing. It grows in size and in their contribution and what they're doing to it as well.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
We have to take another short break, and we'll be back in just a minute and talk about Paddle-i-Mua.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes Talking Story this afternoon with Dean Wong, who's the Executive Director of Imua Family Services, and Kaimana Brummel, who is a volunteer for the Paddle-i-Mua event. And anything to do with water, just tell her, and she's right there.
Yeah.
Still is, right?
Yeah, and I'll be down at Maliko. I've been heading the start line up there, so I'll be there on May 7th this year, the date of our event. It's the day before Mother's Day, so you can go up to the Seaberry Craft Fair in the morning and have a nice cup of coffee and a French pastry, do some shopping for Mom, and then come on
down the
down
hill
to Maliko Gulch. The race starts at 1, but our registration lines will open at 11. We really encourage people to pre-register on our website, paddleimua.org. The first 150 registrars...
It's actually .com. Paddleimua.com. No,
Paddleimua.com. First 150 people who sign up are guaranteed the best swag bag in the paddling world, I must say. Our sponsors
Absolutely.
come out and really put in some wonderful goodies into our swag bag.
Yeah, the Paddle-i-Mua merchandise and swag is coveted statewide. You can see it. People wear it. I always see, when I'm in the airport, I always see people wearing their Paddle-i-Mua shirts and the swag bags. And
cool.
There's a lot of great stuff. And this year being the 5th anniversary of the event, there's some special items as well that'll be part of that. But you got to be in that pre-registration group. So you also save money by registering early for Paddle-i-Mua. So.
And that's the first how many?
150.
150, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Right.
we expect, so people know we will run out of those because we expect over, 250 paddlers. So we're really
Right.
just pushing that swag out there for those first 150 registrants.
Now, is that any age? It's not limited to...
And you just have to pre-register.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and all of the money goes, we are able to cover the majority of our expenses for this race. So people's entry fees are going to the campers. They
camp.
know that their money that they're putting into this race is really having a direct impact on the campers, what they're able to do and how many are able to participate.
And it's not expensive to register. And,
Right.
it's interesting. You get this amazing event, you get the amazing paddle experience, and then the Ohana Festival, all the racers get fed. Aloha Mixed Plate is there providing, great food for everyone. And Maui Brews is there with an amazing beer garden. I mean, there's so much to do at the finish line and part of that Ohana Festival. So it's, you got to check it out. It's unbelievable.
When you've got some terrific sponsors.
We
Yeah.
do.
I mean, and some of them have been with you for a long time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Some are, every year there's some new ones. Like Maui Jim Sunglasses this year is our official sunglass sponsor for the event. And, they're new. They're not new to Imua family, but they're new to this event. And they're an exciting part of it as well. So every year there's some that come on new. And then there's some who have been with us, like our key sponsor, Bluesmiths, who have been with us since the very beginning. And they're just such an integral part of it.
I think any nonprofit, when you're thinking about planning an event, you're looking for that leader in the community, and Bluesmiths was that leader. When this event was just an idea, John Smalley at Bluesmith stepped up and
Yeah.
believed in it, and he has led the way. His standard of quality ocean wear sets the standard for our sponsors, for what's included in the swag bag, for everything that we do, the quality of the event. This isn't just, a Cracker Jack event where we're showing up. The quality is very there, and I think Bluesmiths has really led the way with that because
Absolutely.
they are they produce such quality products, and because they gotten in early. And SIC, I would say, is another great sponsor that's been out, and they donate some boards. And Andrea Muller's really tied in with them. And I just, when you're in the nonprofit world, you happily take money because, the need always exceeds what you can get. But it's great when you're working with people that you are in a partnership with.
Yeah.
And you don't have to work that hard in the sense that they're needy. None of the sponsors are like that. They are here because they truly believe in what Paddle Imua is all about.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
it's great to work with them.
And every sponsor every year has come on, and every year they've increased their participation because of how special the event is and the magnitude of how the event is growing, but also because of what they get back from participating in the event and being a part of it. It really is just it's a very special event. It's a very special community that comes
Right.
together. And sometimes this community doesn't come together for many other things that get to connect them with the source of what they're giving to. And I
Right.
think that's really special.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
And for Kaimana, this is full circle. She used to be a caregiver at Camp Imua.
I was.
back
Oh,
in
were you
her
really?
high
Yeah, I
school
was
days.
a caregiver in high school at 17, and my camper had cerebral palsy. So mentally, she was sharp. She was, always out there having a good time, very social. And she really challenged me to question what was possible, physically and emotionally. And she didn't let her physical disabilities get in the way. And that's really always stuck with me. So I think when Dean approached me and said, we want to do this for camp, I immediately knew that the cause was worthwhile. And it's great that Camp Imua connects with the campers, but also continues to give caregivers really meaningful experiences to give so fully and really get something in return in really intangible ways.
Well, I noticed you had a letter on the website for Paddle Imua from somebody who had, like you, had been at school at Seabury and had done a summer session, and now is finished his education. He's got a prestigious job in California, I think it was. But he comes back every year because this
Absolutely.
is so special for him.
It is. It really, we hear it all the time from Camp Imua, people that come up and volunteer and have that week experience in being a caregiver, that it changes their way of thinking. It changes their life in a way that they are seeing life through the perspective of someone else. And, you grow up thinking knowing what your abilities are and your capabilities are. And when you experience someone else's, walking in their shoes for a little while, that, sometimes the only obstacles that people have are the ones that we place on them, and that works for us as well too. So like I said, that's where this Paddle Imua event just becomes so special, when these athletes who are out on the water every day, sometimes taking that for granted that they have that ability to do that, but then they get to connect with a child or a young person that's never going to have that experience that means so much to them. We're really connecting a lot of things here together on Maui.
I keep thinking about the starting line with 250 paddlers, some in canoes, some on paddle boards, some, whatever. And I know you kind of do a staggered start to this thing because there's a timing element and there are awards, but it's not about coming in first.
Correct. Right. So we have, there's always going to be the athletes, the pros and stuff who are coming, and everyone gets to meet them and experience being out on the water with them and race by them and stuff like that. And yeah, they're in it to win it, because everything contributes to their career as a water sports athlete. But even them, they are there because of the fun of the event. And then you've got people who it's maybe their first race ever, and so this is a perfect fun run for them to do. And it's they just come out once a year to do this particular event. And so winning isn't necessarily the goal, but doing their best time every time is part of their goal. And being able to say, I did this, I started this and I did it and I saw it through. And so every year there's new people there. And I actually remember the very first year there was a family that was here on vacation, and they had done stand-up paddle around their lake,
And a
maybe
river,
and
maybe.
a river maybe and something, and then they showed up on the day of the event because they had heard about it. And I was like, I remember saying to the safety boat, follow that family. But they finished and they had a great
Really?
time.
Wow.
They did great.
We do have a comprehensive, remember, this is not no Cracker Jack event.
Yeah.
We do have the handsome Bugga, who is a longtime supporter of Imua Family Services. Rodney Kilborn, he is a retired fireman, but a professional safety crew, and so they donate their services to this race. And there's guys on jet skis, and we have escort boats, and we're taking care of people because everyone's got to finish
Right.
safety first. So
Right.
yeah.
So then you've got some people. What's the fastest anybody's going to come in?
Under an hour.
Yeah.
Really?
Just around
10 miles
It
in a-
depends on the wind.
Okay.
Depends on the wind, but around the 50-minute,
Yeah.
the faster, more very elite stand-up people will come in, but you'll have people finishing closer to 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll be
So
out there.
when the finish horns go and the racers take off, we're always standing out at the point at Maliko Gulch, and I literally run to my car, get in, and start driving to Hawaiian Canoe Club to be at the finish line when the first racers come in. And they're passing me at Ho'okipa, and I'm on the road looking out at the paddlers, and they're clearly going to get there before me. So it's just, I'm just praying the whole way that I'm going to get to the finish line before the first
Right.
group start coming in, And then sure enough, I park, I get down on the beach, and it's like, oh, there's Dave Kalama, and you can see him off in the distance, and there's Kailani, and there's Connor.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's pretty
But
exciting.
the last person also gets the largest cheers as well.
Yeah,
That final
absolutely.
horn goes off, which means everyone's in, and
Uh-huh.
there's a big applause, and everyone's happy that
Yeah.
everyone gets in safe because we're all kind of in it together.
Right.
Yeah. And everyone is greeted coming across that finish line by our kids with lei, to greet them and congratulate them and thank them so much for their participation. It's such a good feeling, when they come off the water.
That's neat. That's
Yeah.
neat.
Come on down, Susie.
I know. I keep thinking about it.
Every year we say to
Oh,
Susie,
same
"Come
thing.
down, check
I
it
know.
out."
I know.
We have food trucks. We'll have some yummy food trucks.
Yeah,
Teddy's Big
Teddy's
Burger.
Big Burgers will
Yeah.
be there this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like poke,
And like, okay.
local favorite.
Yeah. Is there a good place to see the start?
Maliko Gulch.
I mean, I'm not familiar with Maliko
yeah.
Gulch.
I would say the bluff above Maliko Gulch on the Paia side,
Mm-hmm.
right when you come off of the big turn at the bottom of Maliko and you come up as you're headed towards Paia on the ocean side, there's a bluff there
Yeah.
that you can look out. And our start is different in that it starts in the bay. So you'll see the paddlers start and they'll make that left-hand turn down the coast. And so there's all this strategy on where you line up and what's your line headed down. Are you inside? Are you outside? So you can see all that jockeying and that action
cool.
really early on.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be at around 1 o'clock.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And as you said, depending on the wind, fast race or slow race.
Well, as a race organizer, there's this sweet spot with the wind where it's just enough for people to have fun, but not crazy that people are going to get into trouble. So we always want that sweet spot race wind line, because if it's completely flat, people will still do it, but it's just not as fun.
It's work.
It is work.
And so you have to know that the timing of the event, Saturday, May 7th, is also lined up seasonally with
Gotcha.
when that sweet spot typically exists. So
Oh, okay.
it's not, we didn't just randomly pick May, the first weekend of May. It's sort of picked us a
Right.
little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the time of day, 1 o'clock,
Yeah.
when the wind comes up. We're giving the wind its chance to develop and really show us what she's
Right,
got,
exactly.
but not too much.
Gotcha.
Again,
Yeah.
there's that sweet spot.
And they're always within some distance to the land.
We hope.
You can always see them.
Yeah.
we hope.
Yeah. But that's what the jet skis out there for.
I
and
see,
The
to herd 'em
escort
back
boats,
in.
they kind of herd people and kind of, if they're drifting away, if they need help. I'm going to knock on wood here, but in the 5 years that we've done paddling, we've had no incidences. People have, we've had no, accidents. We've
Everyone
had no
is
one gets
finished.
hurt. Everyone
Yeah.
has finished the race, and that's why we spend so much time with the safety committee, with having the right people in place to manage that, because it is a lot of people out in the water. It's a lot of distance, and you don't want to lose anybody along the way. And we take very good care of our paddlers. But we also know that the spirit of the event really just sort of does carry everybody and carry them to the finish line. So
That's cool.
yeah.
That's
So
cool.
if you want to know more about it, for sure, go to paddleimua.com. If you can't remember that, you can go to imuafamilyservices.org and click on Paddle Imua. all the information will come up for you. You register right online. If you're registering early, the first 150 paddlers, like you said, get some amazing swag. But we do have people that show up on day of and register, and that's welcome as well. You pay a little bit more, but that's okay because it's all going to Camp Imua, so
Right.
that's wonderful. So
Now, Camp Imua, let's talk about that for just
Sure.
just a few seconds here.
Always.
We got time. That's coming up in June.
June 10th to the 17th this year.
Okay, so we have a week, and the participants of this camp are ages.
They start at age 6 is the
Okay.
first time people can start experiencing Camp Imua, and it's about up to I want to say 18 years of age. It used to be 21, and we've had to sort of scale that back so that there are so many new children coming in on the younger side of it. We just have to create a balance, and it really is geared towards children, younger children, and things like that. So it's, I want to say, around 18, I think.
Okay, so now this gives their caregivers a chance to have the week off because you've got people there.
Exactly. It does provide.
Each student ends up with several people working with them.
The care teams are carefully selected based on the needs and the physical needs of the child themselves. So we have some children that require usually no less than 2 caregivers per person, because those caregivers also need breaks as well. So there could be 3 or there could be 4 caregivers on a team with a specific child, and it's based on their needs. But yes, it provides that week of respite for their family, their own caregivers who are with them all year round. And the camp is overnight. It's completely recreational. We don't consider camp to be therapy for children. It's often therapy for the caregivers, but it's not typically therapy for our campers, because we want them to have that camp experience that every typical child gets to have, and all those experiences with Maui, going on a zip line and a helicopter tour, and getting out on a surfboard or a kayak or a canoe and a campfire, and arts and crafts, and just all of that great stuff.
Right, all those things that the other campers get to do.
Mm-hmm.
Making them know.
Yeah, there's some
different.
great new videos about Camp Imua and like our experience last year on our website right now. So people can go to
great.
imuafamilyservices.org, look at our Imua Family YouTube channel, and we have some great new videos. They're just really special.
Terrific. Okay, Paddle Imua coming up on May 7th.
Saturday, May 7th. Registration
Okay.
is open.
And the race starts at 1.
The race starts at 1 o'clock. Come down early. Make sure you're there, set up,
And the
participate in all the fun.
And the Ohana function starts at
Around 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
At Hawaiian
Okay,
Canoe
so
Club.
that's when the first paddlers start arriving.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. What a crowd, you guys. You must have to have traffic monitors out there.
Drive with aloha.
There you go. Wonderful. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Kamana, good to see you again.
You too, Susie.
And
Dean,
have a great event.
I will, and
I'm going to try to head up there to take a look at that start,
Yeah.
if nothing else.
Yeah.
Bring some binoculars.
Okay.
Yep.
You got it.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you for joining us. Maui Nonprofit Notes is sponsored as a community service by Pacific Source, the builder's choice. Give Paul and his staff a call at 986-0380 or stop by their showroom in the Waikapu Bayshard on East Oahe Way to see how they can help you with your building project. The Maui Nonprofit Directors Association's mission is to provide personal and professional support to nonprofit executive directors, their organizations, and the community of Maui. Please visit our website at mauinonprofit.org for a list of member agencies. And if you see one there that you're interested in learning more about, please check out their website and contact them and talk about the possibilities. Today we visited with the Hawaii Community Foundation celebrating their 100th anniversary, and you can give Deb Rice a call at 242-6184. And we've talked with Dean Wong of Imua Family Services, and we never gave out your phone number.
244-7467.
There we go. Or check out their website for the Paddle Imua big event coming up on May 7th. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to join us again next week right here on Wednesday at noon on KAOI Radio, 1110 AM, 96.7 FM, and 96.5 FM on the west side, when we'll be featuring representatives of 2 other member agencies of the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association. Until then, I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific and host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great week, everyone. Aloha.